Hi, welcome to Carolina Crafting. I'm Jackie Jentz. Today we're in Young, Harris, Georgia, just over the line from North Carolina at the home of Juli Silvey. Julie's a batik artist and she's going to take us through some steps of batik. We're going to look at her work, and then she's making a sign for Carolina Crafting, which I think is incredibly awesome. We're going to watch Julie actually make a banner for Carolina Crafting and go through all the different processes and steps of batiking. Let's see what Julie has to say and let's talk about her work. I'm having too much fun here in Juli Silvey Studios. We're going to see all the different kind of techniques it takes to make a batik, and then she's going to actually make a banner for Carolina Crafting, which I'm so excited about. But first, Julie, tell us a little about your background. How did you get started?
Well, I was an art student at LaGrange College when I first got introduced to batik. And the way it happened, I was out in the street, out by the art building one day, and one of the teachers came up to me and said, "We're moving into the new building and we're packing and unpacking today, and there's a bunch of batik things that we found. Do you want this stuff? Because we're not taking it with us." And I didn't really know what batik was, but I said, yes, I want it.
Our motto, all artists' motto is, if it's free, it's for me.
There you go. There you go.
You started young.
Well, so the dyes that came with the wax and the tools were out of New York, and when I wrote to the company to find out how to mix them and how to use the mordants, they weren't even in business anymore. So I just kind of guessed and did a few things and started waxing and batiking and just figuring things out. And then about a year later or less, I took a course at another college where batik was taught, and then that's where I learned technique and what batik wax is and things like that. For instance, Jackie, this piece here has two different types of wax on it. See the darker, sort of the
looks like
sand
beeswax.
colored? Yes. Well, that is true batik wax. It's 50% beeswax and 50% paraffin. And that's sort of the ideal mixture because the beeswax is very elastic and the paraffin is very rigid, almost crackly. Now this is a combination of beeswax and paraffin, but it's about 75% paraffin. It's what you call a heavy crackle formula.
It's lighter than the other.
Yes.
And you're mixing in on the burner over there, you're mixing beeswax.
That's going to be regular batik
okay.
wax, because that's going on your banner.
Okay.
But for this piece, we're doing a crackle. And see the little cracks here? What I did was I put this in the freezer to freeze the wax and make it stiffer. And then I physically crunch it up to break cracks into the wax. Now, the yellow has already been crackled. And when I break the wax, the color, the pigment will seep through into the fabric itself. Now you can't see that as much right now because of the wax that is still in the fabric. So part of being a batik artist, you have to use your mind and your knowledge of the science of this to understand what is happening. However, if we hold it up to the light, you can see some of the cracks.
Oh, cool.
And you'll have a better idea of what's happening.
And then after it's been in the freezer and it's been crackled, and would you add another layer?
Yes.
You could add more layers, put it back in the freezer, crackle it again.
Yes.
Cool.
And this one's going to be 3 layers of color, and what we're going to do is I'm going to crack it and then show you how I put on the next layer of color.
Okay. I was just thinking, you know, batik had never crossed your mind. It's like the universe threw batik at you. How did you feel when when that happened?
Well, it was pretty amazing because once I found a pan and started waxing, the same pan I use now, it just felt familiar. It was like I had done this 100 years before. It was so comfortable. And as an art student, everything that I had learned or was learning, I really had to work to learn it. I was not natural as a person who could draw well. So watercolor, painting, all these things I really had to work at. But batik, it was just so instantly comfortable. And a lot of people are not comfortable with this medium because it is highly temperamental. When you see me doing the waxing part, any change in humidity, air pressure, temperature in the room, a window being open, different weather outside influences the way the wax flows, how hot it is, everything.
Wow.
It's a total deal changer. But I'm comfortable with that, and I just like it.
I just love that story. I mean, that's the way art is. Yeah, it's what's meant to be.
Truly.
So, let's try some of this on my banner. I'm so excited about this banner.
And this is your kitty cat.
Yeah, this is Carolina, the crafting kitty.
Yep. And this is not finished, as you might know. Now, this was the background, these pale oranges and pinks. And so what I did, Jackie, was I used my janting tool, one very similar to this, and I drew the outline of your cat. First I chalked it in so I would know, how big and where the pattern was going. And then this tool was used to draw the cat in. And your cat doesn't have eyes yet either. Cat's gonna have eyes, don't worry. And it's gonna have a collar. I was thinking about bright pink, unless there's another color that you would like.
Oh, I also thought that maybe when I got home I have all these embellishments, she could have a shiny rhinestone.
I think so.
Carolina, fancy crafting kitty. But it still has wax. This has still got the wax on it.
Yes, you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it. And then right there by your hand, this is a star. And again, this is the background. I enhanced it with a little bit of gold. And then I went around the edges of the wax, just like I did around the cat, to make it darker so there would be more contrast and it would pop out of the background.
This is a separate piece.
Yes,
like
that's a separate hand-dyed piece. And then these flowers are a stamp that I used to make an extra little bit of pattern, because a lot of your fabrics have patterns and texture, and I tried to make something that would go with that. And as we pull it down,
even plain white fabric, people don't realize has a texture or some kind of design that you really can't see if you just look at white fabric. But if you're familiar with fabric, if you work with it, you know, yes.
Now this part, this is just the background. So the darker colors will go over these flowers. It'll be an overdye. And then this motifs are going to be on the side here. And you have a butterfly. And notice, Jackie, that because I have not dyed the background, it doesn't stand out as much, because the lines that outline, the wax outlines that hold the color in, they are not very perceptible now. So think of the wax as like a fence that holds the cows in the pasture.
That's a good one.
That's what the wax does. Yeah. It's a resist. It holds and contains. Now this flower, we're going to put a flower here for you on the edge.
Julie's taking her janting tool and outlining with the part beeswax and part paraffin, building up the little fence for the cows not to get out of the pasture. I love that.
Okay, you see right here at the end, my wax is, see how the line is getting thinner?
Yes.
Okay, the wax is getting too cold now. I'm going back over it to press it into the fabric, so I've got to dip again.
Also, it gives it some depth and different as you go back over it, so it's not just a straight line.
So what the spoon does, Jackie, is that's what I use to catch the extra wax so that I don't drip.
Good idea.
Anywhere.
Because it'd be really frustrating to be almost done and then have a blob of...
And it's not like that hasn't happened to batik artists before. So your flower is a curved stem.
And you outlined that with chalk?
Yes. The reason I like chalk over other things is if I change my mind or I end up not waxing part of it, I can just take a damp cloth, just like on a chalkboard, and just wipe it off.
Oh, that's good.
It's gone. So there's a real harmony to it. You literally have to establish a rhythm with your heart rate and your breathing, like a lot of craft forms, weaving, you know, blacksmithing. You have a certain rhythm that you have to get in touch with the medium. And even though this is a liquid, because it's so variable with temperature, see, it's getting a little cool again because of all the wind coming in today. I like to work with windows open, and of course you do need ventilation.
Right. This is one of the arts that is truly going with the flow.
Good observation, Jackie.
Like that.
Good observation. Okay, so we've got one more leaf here. You're going to get 2 leaves on your flower. And then just for good measure, let's put a vein down the center of this leaf. And you can see this is a little uneven because of this big hem. So I'm kind of like going up and down some hills on the fabric. This isn't just flat fabric. Cracking process. We're going to do a really heavy crackle this time, Jackie.
Okay.
You hear the
Crunches,
noise?
yes, it's crunching.
Yeah, so, and it's still cold.
Ooh,
Okay, and I'm unwrapping it. Yeah, you can literally see a few little crumbles of wax coming off. Okay, that ought to do it.
Oh, it is cold.
And see all the...
Oh yeah, lots of crackles.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, it's been crackled and we've pinned it to a frame. What's the next step?
The next step is to apply some color.
Ooh, I love the way it runs.
And you see what I'm doing? I'm going over the underneath color. So the wax is holding the white that's underneath. But where the wax is cracked, you're going to see green. And this is another area where we crackle. Now the brush I'm using, Jackie, is a little bit stiff. It's not a really, really soft brush. And what that does is I'm physically just sort of scrubbing.
It kind of forces it down into the crack.
Absolutely. It literally does that. So we're going to keep applying this green, and I'm going to do one more crackle after this in a dark shade of indigo. Let me get this edge right here. So we'll have 3 different colors of crackle, but I'm going to selectively crackle it, and this is the difference with vat dyeing. You can't selectively crackle it because you're putting the whole thing in a bucket.
Yeah, that's what we did. The one time I did is we put it in a bucket, and you didn't have a lot of control.
No. And with this, you make the decision, okay, where do I want the color? How do I want this to go?
Do you sketch out all your projects beforehand and do the colors and then...
Yes, there's some degree of planning. I allow for spontaneity too, so that if I come up with a better idea or something happens, a blob of wax spills somewhere, that I can, you know, incorporate that into what the new design idea is, which, you know, it's still the old idea, but you got to adapt to change.
Yes,
change
you do.
is the law of life.
So when you did my banner, you went through the first time and laid down the dye in different graduated shades.
Yes, I had about probably 6 or 7 different colors that I mixed to put your banner together, and I did it in sections so that I could let part of it dry and then see how light or dark it was, because I knew that you like paler colors a lot in your work and what you show with your art, so I wanted it to go with that. But then I'd need a little bit of darker color to highlight the items.
Okay, so you've got one layer down, we're going to lay another, but that will keep it from bleeding over.
Yes.
The fence keeping the cowls out.
The fence is still holding, even though it's crackled. There's still enough wax there that I can just put this where I would like it to be.
If it bled just a little bit, it would be art.
That's true too. I don't think it's going to bleed too much. Now these are patterns. Remember, this is a polka dot.
Right.
And so you see the white dots there? That's the wax, the white dots. And then they are crackled. So this piece has several different kinds of patterns going on with the crackle, with the wax, and with the layers of color.
When I first saw it, it was just a circle. Now I can't make up my mind if it looks like a lily pad or whether it looks like a ladybug. I'm trying to make up my mind. This almost has peace signs in it. It has.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I think I was trying to do just lines here. I was going with lines and dots.
See how it crackled right there? See that? It's almost a peace symbol.
It is a crackle and a peace symbol.
Yay.
And then some of these, like this is actually a stamp. I use a metal potato masher to stamp this, and you use a stencil. You use paper around the edges because the thing is round and it's bigger than that little triangle. So you
mask the area and then
exactly
stamp on it.
You catch on quick. So it's like a stenciling technique with the wax. Now you see the strong contrast here and how I'm pushing this indigo blue into this area. Now see where the color is wet on the edge, it's going to bleed more. And I'm going to lighten it now. I'm going to start doing a gradation. But it's going to run right into this area. So then we'll put some here.
So you leave an edge so that you can, when you frame it,
yes,
or you have a little salvage edge there to work with.
To sew, absolutely. Yeah. And even if this was just a fabric sample, which it may end up being, still, if you ever wanted to sew it into something, a pillow or an artwork, you need that edge to finish it. Let's see, so let's put some blue here too, along the edge. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty against that blue?
I love it. It's just
green.
Seeping right into it.
Let's go on and put some here.
This could be the northern lights here, where it's coming straight down. Yeah.
And then look, we're going to go over the yellow too. This is a crackle area. See, these were white. This was still the same fabric, but now we're going to let the blue blend with the yellow. We're going to go over this whole section. Go down into here. Cover up all that yellow. So let's put a little more, let that seep into the edge. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let all this dry, and then I'll re-crackle it one more time and add some more color, and then it'll be done once I fill in the white too, and then I'll iron the wax off, and that'll be the final piece.
So it's drying now, and there's several other processes that you'll work on, and I'll get stills of it, and then we can put in at the end of this show. Julie, I've had the best time. Oh my gosh, this is like the best show. And one thing I noticed about your house that I just envy is you've put all your little touches. I mean, you put sparkly things here and paintings there, and it's just a wonderful place. But the thing I love most, and it says what I think of you, that how lucky you've been. Oh, that all my life I have dreamed of this, and you got it. It's so awesome.
I think we all live our dreams. You have to choose which dreams you want to live, though.
A lot of us put those off for other reasons and don't always get to do that, but you've done it. Thank you.
And I love it every day. Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome.